Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not My Problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem.
But it's certainly someone's problem. Last night, we had our Patreon Live with our OG3, our
Yay!
3 Patreon donors, and we had a really good time.
We did. It was so much fun. Thank you, Danny and Katrona and Kevin for coming and hanging out with us last night.
It's really cool to be able to see you and talk to you and get your opinions on the paranormal. And
yeah. We just basically shat the shit for an hour. We did a bunch of really messed up, scary would you rathers.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought were hilarious.
I don't know what Jen was. I don't know what darkness fell upon her when she wrote these things, but they were pretty terrible.
There's a lot of darkness right now, Kelly.
Yes, there is.
I have to get it out somehow. When I would read the first part of the Would You Rather, everyone would be like, oh, no, not that one. And then I would read the second one and they were like, oh, wait a second. That one might be worse.
That might be worse.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. So thank you for our patrons for, like I said, hanging out with us. And if you want to hang out with us, join our Patreon.
Yeah. We do lives once a month for our $10 tier.
Yeah, absolutely. So go join and hang out with us. Meet us in virtual person.
Yeah.
I guess.
And tell us like your opinion. Like what do you want to see on the podcast? And like
absolutely.
That's an opportunity to kind of tell us what you're hoping to see or hear. And we'll take it into consideration.
We will. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter.
Yes. That is where we are right now.
It is. We just sat here before we hit record and talked to each other for 35 minutes.
Yeah. And I might say the tone switch from how we were talking before the episode to our happy episode selves was drastic.
Very drastic, which is why we needed to get some things out.
Sometimes you need to vent to your best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can get your work done.
Yeah. So now we're working.
We are working.
Working, air quotes.
And I have a question for you.
What is your question?
Okay. If you were granted unlimited motivation to do one thing, what would it be?
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Unlimited motivation to do one thing. You answer.
I'm going to say to eat healthy.
Okay, that's a good one.
I kind of went back and forth in my brain between working out and eating healthy, but you can't exercise out a bad diet. Like really, when you lose weight, the main part of that is a good, healthy diet.
That's fair. I think I would go the opposite and say workout, though.
Okay.
Because I don't eat great, but I also don't eat awful. So I really think, at least to spark my weight loss initially, I think exercise would spark it first. And then I could get to a point. Because I will say for me, and maybe this is just me, but the time that I actually lost weight, I was not on a diet, but I was working as an early morning stalker at Costco.
Yeah.
And I worked 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day. And I probably had 15,000 steps every day by 10 a.m. and constant exercising and moving. And that is when I lost like 60 pounds. And I didn't change my diet in any way, shape, or form.
I lost 100 pounds changing my diet and not doing one day of exercise.
Yeah. So we both, and everyone has different experiences. Yeah. So for me, I think I would rather still be able to eat pizza and pasta and just have a really good workout regimen.
When I say healthy eating, I don't mean that you eliminate things like pizza and pasta. But healthy eating to me is very balanced.
Okay.
Where you still have that stuff, but not every day like I would actually like to.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting one.
That was an interesting one.
Do you want to know what we're talking about today?
I do want to know what we're talking about.
Okay. Today, we're diving into the haunted history of one of the most infamous homes in America, the Hinsdale House.
Ooh.
Grab your EMF readers and holy water, because this one will make you question whether it's just the house settling or something a little more sinister.
I predict now it is probably something a little more sinister.
Yeah.
That's just my prediction going into this episode.
I mean, I've done all the research and I would say that's a really good prediction.
Good. I'm glad.
Because if it was just the house settling, I don't think it would be on this podcast.
Probably not.
It would be a completely different podcast.
Yeah. Do people even talk about non-haunted locations?
I guess in a historical way.
Yeah. Okay.
You talk about the history of a place.
That's true.
Or architecture.
Yeah.
Things like that. But that's not us.
That's not us.
It's not. We're the spooky people.
Spooky.
First, we have some random facts. We have some fun facts about New York.
Okay.
Which is where the Hinsdale House is located.
I assumed based on just randomly pick a state. Hinsdale House is actually in California, but we're going to talk about New York today.
Yeah, why not? It's our podcast. We do what we want here.
We could do what we want.
Yeah. So New York is the 27th largest state in the U.S., but ranks 4th in population with over 20 million residents.
I believe that.
This one I thought was interesting. Toilet paper was first sold in Albany, New York in 1857.
Jeez, that seems so late.
Doesn't it?
What did people do before toilet paper?
Maybe rags? I don't know. And Lake Placid is one of the only towns to host the Winter Olympics twice, in 1932 and in 1980.
Sorry, I can't ever go into I can't ever go swimming at Lake Placid
Because of the movie?
I've seen the movie. Come on.
Right. But
I can't
remember what state because the movie there's a Lake Placid in Florida with actual crocodiles or alligators and shit. But then the movie took place, I don't know if it took place in New York or if it was.
Oh. I thought it was New York.
Like New Hampshire or something, but it just doesn't make any sense why they didn't do it in
Florida.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, for a horror movie, you would expect there to be alligators and shit in Florida. So this would be a little bit more.
The fact that there is because you would think you could go swimming in Lake Placid without having to worry about a very large alligator or crocodile. I don't know which one it was, if it was an alligator or crocodile.
I don't remember either.
I think it was an alligator. But yeah, I won't go. I also won't go swimming in lakes in Florida either. That's pretty frowned upon in this state.
Yeah. Did I tell you when we went to Florida and we went kayaking in a lake?
Oh, I do go kayaking. I have done that.
We took the kids to Universal and everything, and we had a day where there's nothing to do. So they had kayaking down by this lake that was right behind the condo we were staying at. And when we got there, I asked the guy, I was like, what about gators? Now, this is what I should have known, because he said, if I were to start the sentence, listen, I've worked here for X amount of time and I've never seen an alligator here. And that was meant to reassure somebody. What would you think that time frame would be?
Several years.
Yeah. I've worked here for 3 weeks and I've never seen an alligator. And I was like, that does not inspire confidence, my good sir.
No.
But he said, well, they have like the helicopters fly over several times a day and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, because I don't live in Florida. I don't know. Like maybe. Yeah. So we get in the kayaks and it was.
And you see an alligator?
We're pedaling. It was 2 kayaks because it was me and Nick and the girls and Blaze and Blaze was there. So we had 3 people in the kayaks. And Rebecca and I look over and we see an eyeball go under the water. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, turn around. We need to turn around. And they're like, what? I'm like, Rebecca's like, we just saw an alligator. We just saw an eyeball go under. And everybody's like, no. I'm like, turn around. I want out of this lake. So we have no idea how to kayak. So just watching us try to turn these kayaks around and get back to where we came from was quite the experience. But we get back there. We get out of the kayaks. We go back to our condo. There's a balcony in the condo. We were like on the 14th, 15th floor. There's a balcony that looks over that lake we were just in. We go on the balcony and there's like 8 gators right in that area where Rebecca and I saw that eyeball.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I'm so the first time I ever went kayaking, I did it at my aunt's house in Edgewater, Maryland. And it happened to be, so her house, she lived right on the water and there were 2 piers, like her pier and her neighbor's pier. So it was kind of like a little cove. Like I didn't go out in like the main area, but there happened to be a lot of jellyfish that day. And I was probably like 15 and I had never been kayaking. And my aunt was like, oh, just go in this little area. You'll be safe. So I get in the water and as I'm kayaking, trying to figure out how to do it all by myself, I see all the jellyfish because initially my aunt was like, oh, well, if you can't paddle, then you can touch. So just get out and come up to the swim platform. So I see all the jellyfish and I'm like, I can't get out. And then I start freaking out and like basically having a panic attack that I'm going to get stuck in this water or stung by jellyfish. But now that I know how to kayak, as long as I don't see a gator and it's a place where they're not like known to be, obviously there could always be one, but people kayak in Florida all the time and no one gets attacked by gators. But if I didn't know how to kayak, I would be petrified.
So we did recently a kayaking trip with my husband's family. Every year does a family paddle where they go kayaking somewhere in Iowa down a river. And it's never really matches up with when we can go. But we were able to go one year and we were on the water for about 5 hours and we had a blast.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. So we derailed this whole conversation.
Already. That's okay.
But ADHD. We're going to get back to some scary facts. How's that sound?
Oh, perfect. Let's do it.
In New York's mountains, there are tales of a ghostly black dog that appears as an omen of death.
Oh.
Sightings are said to be followed by tragedy.
I would still go up to the dog and be like, oh, hi, baby.
He's a good boy.
I just want some treats. Don't kill me. I give you some treats.
That's right. Maybe, did anybody consider giving the dog treats? Maybe you wouldn't die.
Right? I mean, if I saw a dog, I would immediately go to my treat pouch on my side because I would have Ellie. And I would be like, here are some treats, good boy.
Right. And some ear scritches.
Yeah. Belly rubs.
Right.
He's not going to kill me then. Or send death to kill me.
Be cool. Be nice to the dog.
Yeah. He just wants a friend.
New York City subway workers have reported hearing footsteps, whispers, and even screams deep in abandoned stations like the 18th Street or City Hall stations.
That tracks. The subway's pretty freaky.
Screams.
Though, no, I did do it once. I was about to say, I don't think I've ever been on the New York subway, but I have once. One time.
I haven't.
I've been in the London Underground.
Yeah, I've done that too.
But I've only done New York subway once.
I've never been to New York, but I have been to London.
Which is blows
crazy.
My mind.
I mean, yeah, we flew into Boston when we went to England. So we went from Reagan
Airports
National
don't count though.
To Boston. Yeah.
Airports don't count.
So I
just
never
if you've
even
been in the airport.
No, not even close.
No.
Okay. Near Niagara Falls, Devil's Hole Cave is steeped in Native American legends. It was the site of a brutal massacre in 1763, and locals claim that it's cursed.
That tracks.
Yeah.
I want to go to Niagara Falls. I've been to New York, and I've been to Canada, but I've not been to Niagara Falls.
I've been to none of these places.
Oh. Well, they say the falls are haunted. We could go for the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
We should do an episode on that because I know nothing about it. You should do that episode because I like to learn things about the paranormal from you that I did not previously have knowledge of because I think it's a ton of fun.
It is. Did you see the episode of I always forget what it's called. Destination. What's the one that with the 2 people Josh Gates hosted, but it's not actually him? Destination Truth? No. Maybe. Yes.
Something
Destination
like
Truth. Yeah. I think it's Destination Truth.
No, I have not.
I get all the destinations.
Yeah.
Expedition Truth. They did an episode about the falls where they went and did an investigation there.
Yeah, I haven't watched that, but maybe I will. No, I don't want to look it up because I want you to do an episode on it.
Okay. I mean, I don't know a ton. I know some, but I'll do an episode on it at some point.
Yay. Okay. Back to the Hinsdale House.
Yeah. God, this is going to be a long episode.
Located in the small, quiet town of Hinsdale, New York, the Hinsdale House was built in 1853 by the Everett brothers, a homicidal duo that would trap passerbys by luring their stagecoaches off the road, then robbing and murdering their victims. They would temporarily throw the bodies in a crawl space before they eventually got buried somewhere else on the property.
I don't love that.
No.
Not a fan.
Mm-mm. By the time the house reached the 1970s, it had changed hands several times. Each family that lived there seemed to encounter their own versions of the unusual, but none would experience the full intensity of the paranormal events until the Zieglers moved in. The Ziegler,
that's a fun last name.
It is. I hope I'm saying it right.
Zieglers.
The Ziegler family, in fact, might have just thought they were moving to a quaint royal property in Western New York. Little did they know they were stepping into a house that would change their lives and their perspective of the supernatural forever.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. The Zieglers reported strange occurrences almost immediately. It started with simple things, objects moving on their own, unexplained noises, and that eerie feeling of being watched.
So my question is, why do all hauntings start that way?
It's a good question.
Is there ever just a ghost that, like, the second somebody moves in, they're just like, boom, stacked chairs, or boom. I can't think of anything else crazy right now, but y'all know what I mean.
I'm not sure, but it does seem like it has to kind of start and ramp up. It's almost like each new family moves in, the spirits there has to get to know that new family.
Yeah, I just don't get that. Like, I get, like, when spirits have to figure out how to do all that stuff. But, like, if the place was haunted before, why does it have to start slow again? They should already know how to do it.
Well, they might know how to do it. They might know how to do it, but they might not have the energy to do it. Especially if it feeds off the fear of the people that live there and a new family moves in, then they might have to kind of start smaller just with whatever they have the energy to do.
And collect more fear.
Right.
Oh, that's a good theory.
Thank you.
That they, I mean, I never really considered that they, like, fed off of the fear. That's interesting.
Or the fear, maybe excitement too. There could be energy from excitement or just any, like, heavy, extreme emotions.
Well, I can tell you it's not excitement because I'm very excited to have Ellen in my house, and she has done nothing since you left.
Give her time.
So Ellen is not feeding off of my emotions.
She might need to take a little bit of time, get used to you.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Things did escalate quickly, however. The family heard knocking and tapping on the walls and doors in the dead of the night. Sounds that seemed to come from nowhere. They would find doors opening and closing by themselves and shadows that would appear in the corners of their vision, always out of reach, but never quite gone.
Kelly, guess what we just got? Sorry, ADHD.
What?
My phone just went off. Guess what we just got?
Are you looking at your phone when we're recording?
Never. It's off to the side and it vibrated, so I glanced.
Okay.
Kevin, one of our Patreon donors, just sent us a story.
Yay! We were just talking to Kevin last night. And we said,
and I told him that if he did not have his, I did give him till tomorrow. I said, if you do not have a story in our inbox by tomorrow, or by tomorrow, so 2 days, then we would call you out on the podcast. So now we're calling you out for sending it to us. So thank you.
I'm really excited. I cannot wait to read it.
I cannot wait to read it. Just after talking to him last night, I want to hear it so bad.
Yep. That's awesome.
So look forward to Kevin's story on our next Paranormal Postcards.
And that was a worthy interruption.
I'm sorry.
That was a worthy ADHD interruption. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll put my phone away.
Unlike me going off on alligators. know what that was about. Okay.
I think I was the one who started going off on alligators and you just continued.
Oh, well, yeah. If you give me a topic, I can just run with it.
You did.
I'm really excited, though.
Me too.
Okay. Where were we?
I don't know.
As the activity ramped up, so did the fear. The Ziegler children were reportedly tormented by a dark entity they couldn't explain. One of the most unsettling reports came from their son, who claimed he felt like something was physically touching him when no one else was around. Then, in 1974, great year, the most awesome people were born that year.
Yeah, debatable, but
the Ziegler family made a fateful decision. They reached out for help. This wasn't just any haunting. This was a force they couldn't understand. So they called in some of the biggest names in the paranormal world.
Let me guess.
Yes?
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
How did you know?
I don't know. Just a guess.
Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators best known for their involvement in cases like the Amityville Horror. The
Debatable.
Warrens... What?
I mean, not debatable that they were involved. Debatable if it's haunted.
Okay.
After we did that episode, I kind of was like, I don't know if I think it's haunted anymore.
There was a lot of information in there that was kind of...
Yeah, little sketch.
Yeah. The Warrens were called to the Hinsdale House to investigate the increasingly violent paranormal activity. When they arrived, they weren't just dealing with a mischievous ghost or two. The Warrens claimed that the house was being haunted by multiple entities, including what they described as a powerful, malevolent force. The Warrens even suggested that the house might be suffering from demonic activity.
Shocker. Why do the Warrens always surround themselves with demonic activity?
Is it that only the cases that are most extreme, those people reach out to the Warrens with like the scariest stuff going on?
Or maybe, I don't think it's that those are the only people reaching out. I think those are the only people that the Warrens entertain.
Okay. Well, they're not entertaining anybody now because they're both dead, but.
That's true. But let's be real. Like, if the Warrens were alive when you were experiencing the stuff you did at your old house, would you not have attempted to reach out to them? Knowing nothing besides these two people are good with ghosts?
No, there's a lot of people good with ghosts that I didn't reach out to.
Okay. Well,
when I lived in that house, I didn't reach out to taps from ghost hunters.
Okay. Pretend like there is nobody else that is good with ghosts. Because that's kind of how it was back then. There weren't a ton of people that knew much about ghosts or did things with ghosts. So anybody who had ghosts would probably reach out to the Warrens.
If they were the only people really that you heard about, but I don't know if that's the case or not.
And I think they were probably the most famous that there weren't really TV shows back then that did ghost investigations. It wasn't as well known of a topic. So
right.
I think those families that are at their wits' end were probably reaching out to them, and they probably were very selective and like, we're only taking the ones that we think are demons.
I think given where I was at the time when we lived in that house, I probably would have reached out to a church first. Now, I wouldn't do that now because
that's fair.
I don't hold those beliefs anymore. But at the time, I probably would have.
Yeah.
Although I didn't. That's weird that I said that.
I know.
Because I didn't reach out to a church.
Right. But you might have if there weren't other options. You found other options.
True.
Whereas back in the 70s, there probably weren't a lot of other options, is kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Either a church or the Warrens. And I feel like in a lot of cases, they reached out to churches first. And then when they couldn't do anything, the Warrens swooped in.
Sometimes maybe the churches suggested the Warrens. I don't know.
Probably.
One of the key pieces of evidence the Warrens uncovered were the EVPs, which we know stands for electronic voice phenomenon. Which are eerie, disembodied voices captured on tape. During their investigation, they reportedly recorded whispers and sinister messages saying things like, "Get out and leave now."
Why is that the thing that they always say?
I don't know. I guess they don't want you
get
there.
out. Yeah, I just feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I want to catch an EVP of an angry ghost that likes to curse. Maybe not angry, but just somebody that likes to curse. Like, I want an EVP that it's like, get the fuck out. I'm going to take you more seriously if you use the F word.
Yeah. I guess that is interesting that you don't hear a lot of that. I also want to know why there's not a lot of EVPs of other languages.
That's true. I mean, mostly probably because we're in the US.
Right, but I want a caveman ghost.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, like I don't hear a lot of EVPs with someone speaking in like a native tongue.
Maybe that's because they're all much older spirits and they've all been sucked off already.
That could be it.
Yeah. TV show ghost reference for those who don't know what I'm talking about.
I have a wall thing I'm going to put up in my podcast room that says, "Let me ride you until you get sucked off." And it's got some of the like outline of the faces of the ghosts.
I love that show.
They also believe that the house was built on what might be a Native American burial ground. A common theory when it comes to haunted locations. Could the spirits of the past be disturbed by the construction of the house? Could that be the source of all of the unrest? Or was there something darker, something that had latched onto the land, creating the chaos that we still hear about today? Now, if you think about the Everett brothers that were a murderous duo that murdered several people on the property, we know that a bunch of tragedy in one place can lead to negative energies.
100%.
But the Warrens weren't the first investigators to walk the house's creaky floors.
Oh.
The Hinsdale House has been a site of paranormal interest long before the Zieglers arrived. People had reported strange sensations in the area for decades, especially those passing through the dense woods that surrounded the property. Some claimed to see flashes of lights in the tree. Others swore they felt an inexplicable cold spot, like the air itself was alive with energy.
That's interesting.
It is. Over time, more and more paranormal teams begin to make pilgrimages to the Hinsdale House. The stories were too compelling to ignore, but what they found didn't always match the conventional ghost stories we're used to hearing. Investigators reported extreme drops in temperature, devices malfunctioning for no reason, and in some cases, personal items going missing only to turn up in other places they've never been before. And while those were a little more common and focused on the apparent haunting, there was also something physical about the place, something heavy in the air. Some investigators began feeling physically ill after spending too much time in the house, almost like the house itself had a way of draining their energy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I say I want to experience it, but like, I don't know. I've never walked in a place where I've just felt ill. And I know it happens at a lot of paranormal locations.
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting.
It definitely would be. Today, the Hinsdale House stands as one of the most actively investigated homes in the United States. Some claim it's the site of restless spirits. Others believe it's a doorway to something far darker. People still come from all over to experience the phenomenon for themselves, from curious tourists to the serious paranormal researchers hoping to capture the truth. And what's the truth? Well, that's still up for debate. But one thing is for certain, the Hinsdale House has a way of staying with you long after you leave. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, this place has a history that's pretty hard to ignore.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, are we ready for some ghost stories?
Kelly, I was born ready.
Yeah, I mean, it is a paranormal podcast, so it makes sense.
It is. I hope everyone else is ready.
I don't know if they like the ghost stories or not, to be honest with you.
But yeah, they might not. They might just be here for the history.
You never know.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay. One night, while lying in bed, Mrs. Ziegler heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps pacing across the room above her, even though no one was upstairs. When she investigated, she did find that there was no one up there, so she did confirm that nobody else was above her. But that's just the beginning. The family also began to notice objects moving on their own accord, books being knocked off their shelves, chairs shifted to different places in the home. different places in the room. It was as the get it all out, right? It was as though something was deliberately rearranging their lives, making them feel unwelcome in their home.
No, don't do that. Share the space.
Right. It's not hard.
I am all for sharing my house with nice spirits.
Yeah.
Or chaotic spirits.
Yeah.
As long as they don't make me feel unwelcome.
Yeah.
I pay rent. This is my house, my apartment.
Right. If you want to be just a little bit on the bad chaotic side, you better be like folding laundry and emptying the dishwasher and shit. Like,
right.
And then maybe we can strike up a deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to be a little more chaotic than I give you, then you gotta do something for me.
Yep.
When I forget to switch the clothes from the laundry to the dryer, just do it for me.
Yeah.
I'll let you knock a glass off the counter and break it if you switch my laundry.
And stop that damn dryer from beeping every 30 minutes.
More like every 3 minutes. My dryer in my apartment, if you do not take it out immediately, it will continue to beep at you like every 3 to 5 minutes.
It's almost as annoying as the upstairs neighbors vacuuming every 3 seconds.
Almost. You would think that to make it stop, you just get up and get the laundry out of the dryer.
Don't be stupid, Jen.
Or you could just sit there and curse every time it goes off at you.
And be annoyed at the dryer.
And then forget the clothes are in there and have to start it again the next day and go through the whole process multiple times.
Correct. So the Ziegler children, on multiple occasions, claim to have seen dark shapes moving throughout the hallways and peeking around corners. Now, I know what that's like. Only to vanish when they tried to get a closer look. One particularly chilling story came from the Ziegler son, who told investigators that he had seen a tall, dark figure standing at the foot of his bed, just staring at him.
No, get the fuck out.
When he tried to scream, no sound came out. He was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak before the shadow disappeared. Now, that does sound a little bit like sleep paralysis, too.
It does.
Yeah. The whole thing about not being able to move or speak, that leans heavy. I'm not saying there weren't shadow figures in the house, but that particular experience seems like...
Yeah. Maybe just the spirits show themselves while you are suffering from sleep paralysis.
That's a good theory.
That's why everybody sees them.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being people say it's just your brain playing tricks on you, which is also totally possible. But
did I tell you that so Emily always sees a witch in her room when she gets sleep?
I know, me too.
So
I've seen the witch and I've seen a small child.
I was listening to a doctor one time say that if you Google sleep paralysis witch and hit images, that it's the same
witch. Everyone sees the same witch. Though I will say with a witch, I feel like everybody has kind of a picture in their head of what they think of when they think witch. So it's pretty similar.
When I showed Emily, her mind was blown that was exactly what she saw. I don't see anything with sleep paralysis. I just fear.
I don't always. More likely it'll be like, I feel like I'm being stared at, but I have had 2 occasions where I've seen the witch and a small child. Now, the small child was sitting on my fucking chest, and I didn't like that.
No.
I didn't like that at all. That was the worst. It started off at like the side of my bed, and then at one point it was like on top of me, and I didn't like that.
So I realize I only get sleep paralysis if I take a nap. So I just don't take
Me too.
naps. Yeah, I don't take naps.
Me too. I get sleep paralysis if I take a nap on my couch. I sometimes will get it in the bedroom, but if for whatever reason, if I sleep on the couch to take my nap, I will most of the time get sleep paralysis.
That's interesting. I wonder what it is about naps. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, is because I'm the same way. I very rarely get it if I'm like sleeping. It's happened, but it doesn't happen very often.
So this kind of encounter with the shadow figures and that paralyzing feel is a hallmark of many haunted locations. But what made this case even stranger was the way these entities seemed to interact with the family. The energy in the house felt oppressive, and they felt like they were being watched at all times. Not just like sometimes, like at all times.
Oh, I don't like that.
So there were some physical disturbances in the house. As the activity grew more intense, physical disturbances became more common. Mrs. Ziegler, on one occasion, found strange scratches appearing on her body. They weren't just little marks, but deep claw-like scratches that seemed to have no cause. The scratches would appear with no explanation, and no one else in the family had been near her at the time. At one point, Mrs. Ziegler reported being pushed by an unseen force. She was standing near a window when, without warning, she was shoved backwards, causing her to fall. There was no one around and no explanation for what could have caused it. Could it have been the spirit of someone trying to communicate, or something darker trying to frighten her? I don't know how you would communicate with somebody by pushing them.
Pushing them out a window or attempting to push them out a window.
Right.
No, I'm not a fan.
Nope. Another chilling aspect of the house is the consistent appearance of cold spots. Investigators have reported areas in the house where the temperature would suddenly drop dramatically, even during the summer months. In some cases, these cold spots would shift from one area to another as if following those who dared to explore the house. One of the most unsettling features of the house is the section of the property known as the Witch's Circle. Located in the backyard, this area is believed to have been used for ritualistic purposes, possibly involving dark magic.
Why are they always blaming the witches?
Well, there are some witches that involve in dark magic, but that doesn't mean all witches are bad.
No.
So in this case,
I know.
They believe it was ritualistic dark magic.
Okay.
Some visitors claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread when standing in this spot, as though the land itself holds a negative energy. Investigators have reported feeling an oppressive atmosphere, almost like a weight on their chest when standing near the circle. Beyond shadow figures and voices, there are also reports of a specific apparition that many believe haunts the house, an old man. This spectral figure is often described as a tall, thin, and angry presence, seen standing in doorways or at the top of the stairs. Some have reported hearing his heavy footsteps as he roams the halls. The old man has been described as unfriendly and hostile. He's believed to be one of the most persistent spirits in the house.
Well, we don't like that.
No. Other spirits are said to linger in the house, including children who play in the hallways and a woman who sometimes appears in the windows, though no one is ever sure who she is. The diversity of spirits and the range of activities, from peaceful interactions to hostile encounters, is what makes the Hinsdale House so unsettling.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So there is another family that lived in the Hinsdale House in the 70s. They were the Dandy family.
Okay.
So the Dandy's family time in the house was also marked by unsettling experiences. When the Dandy family moved into the Hinsdale House in the 70s, they quickly began experiencing strange occurrences much like the Zieglers. The family reported hearing the unexplained noises like the knocking on the doors, footsteps, voices when no one's around. So again,
it starts off small and then escalates. Why?
And that feeling of being watched was also prevalent throughout the home. There are also multiple instances of objects being moved without any explanation and lights flickering for no apparent reason.
Okay.
One of the most chilling experiences involved the father of the family, who reported seeing a dark shadow figure in the house. He was in the basement when he witnessed a tall, dark figure standing in the corner of the room. When he turned to look at it, the figure vanished into thin air. That sighting was the first of many that led to the family becoming fearful in the house.
Yeah, that's fair.
Some members of the Dandy family experienced unexplainable physical sensations. The mother reported feelings as someone was touching her or pulling her hair when she was in bed.
Okay, don't pull my hair. If you want to play with my hair, then go right ahead.
Right.
But like gentle head scratches, like caressing, cool. But just don't pull it. That's mean.
Her children also complained of a feeling of pins and needles sensation or being touched when no one was around.
Oh, I feel the pins and needles all the time. Does that mean I'm being touched by ghosts?
Maybe. There were also reports of the family dog acting strangely and growling at invisible forces and barking at empty spaces. Now, I do not like it when a dog just barks in the random corner of a room.
Yeah, Ellie used to do that at my old house.
Don't like it.
It was I think I probably sent you I thought I sent you a video way back when, the townhouse that I had in Columbia.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. But my dining room, Ellie would always just, and it was only when I was home alone, would always just, not the dining room happened all the time when my ex was there. She would just randomly start barking in the dining room. Now, our upstairs bedroom, she would randomly stare at either of the two corners of the room across from the bed and start barking only when I was alone. So my ex traveled a lot for work. And one time he was gone, like, I don't know, I think he was almost gone for like 2 weeks. And like the first night he left, she did it. So the next morning I saged the bedroom, and didn't happen the entire rest of the time. And then the next time he left, it happened again.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now Ellie barks at things, but I live in an apartment, so I don't know if the noises I'm hearing are just my loud neighbors or ghost. But I hear a lot of noises.
I mean, I would say neighbors in that apartment.
Most of it is probably neighbors. But I do wonder that because we know Ellen likes to make noise.
Right.
I wonder how much of that I brush off as my neighbors.
For me, it's like, for Ellen, I always knew it was Ellen because the sound was in the room. It wasn't like in the distance. Like, was that in the other room? It was in the room.
Yeah. And that has happened since I've had Ellen. But it's usually only one and done. So I hear it, and I'm usually like either on my phone or watching TV. So I'm like, I hear it and I think it sounds like it's in the room, but I don't know if it's actually is or not. And now Ellie is sitting there like whining at me, and I have no idea why. She's just staring at me.
All right. So in response to the disturbances, the Dandy family did contact some paranormal investigators in hopes of understanding what was happening in their home. The investigation did reveal an intense energy around the house, with several psychics and mediums claiming that the house had a history of paranormal activity long before, like, the Dandy family moved in. They lived there before the Zieglers.
Oh, okay. So the Dandy family was before the Zieglers. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sure you said that, but
I might not have.
I think you did, but it didn't click in my head until you said it the second time.
Well, the Zieglers moved in 1974, and it said that the Dandys lived there in the 1970s, but I do believe it was before, because I don't think they stayed long at all.
Okay.
Some claim the house was built on land with a history of tragic events, contributing to its haunting atmosphere, which it did.
It was.
But I think that, like, any psychic or medium could have access to the history of what happened on that land too.
Yeah.
Psychics and mediums, I want to receive from them, but I'm also so very skeptical about stuff like that.
I believe that psychics do exist, but I believe that the majority of people that claim to be psychic are faking and are just really good at reading people and getting them to give you the information. And again, I do apologize if this noise is coming through, but apparently there's like a tornado outside my window right now, because that's what it sounds like.
I can't hear anything. So.
It's very windy.
All right. So now we're going to talk about when Project Fear went to the Hinsdale house.
We love some Project Fear.
We do love some Project Fear. When they got there, the team was immediately struck by the atmosphere of the house. And they said it seemed to like welcome them, but with an oppressive energy, which is weird.
That doesn't sound welcoming.
No. So they experienced the same things that you would expect: cold spots, shadowy figures.
I want a ghost that can give me cold spots.
Yeah, I know, because you live in Florida and it's fucking hot as hell.
And I'm poor, and it would save me some money on air conditioning my apartment. I could just turn the air off and just have the ghost sit next to me all day.
Follow you around.
Come on. How do I get one of those?
So they did do an EVP session, and they did get a chilling whisper that said leave.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that.
And then they also got one that said get out, which is what the Warrens had also captured there. But here's where, this is the part where I think it got really kind of weird for me was what Tanner went through.
I vaguely remember, but please tell everyone.
Tanner and Chelsea ventured out into the witch's circle behind the house. And they started to just experience some things like unexplained noises. Tanner himself described an overwhelming sense of unease, as if something heavy was pressing down on him. And the feeling intensified the deeper they went into the woods.
I'm always very skeptical of any noises anyone hears when they are outside, because you are outside. Yeah. There are lots of things, creatures, bugs, animals. Now, did they have the thermal when they were outside? Because that always makes it a little bit better for me, that it can't be like a large animal that would show up on the thermal.
I do not remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But that helps when you're starting to hear noises, and then you can use it. Still might be a bug or some of the wind or a branch breaking. There's still a lot of causes that it could be. But it does help if you can thermal and prove that there is not a wild animal nearby.
Right. So the thing, though, that really was creepy is that he felt that whatever this feeling was that was weighing on him was leaving him physically and emotionally drained. So they both reported seeing some dark, shadowy figures like darting in between the trees. It's hard when you're outside. All of it's hard when you're outside.
Yeah, and you have a flashlight and you don't know, maybe the other person's flashlight like moved and made something look. Yeah, it's tough.
Could be not.
Yeah.
Tanner began to experience symptoms often associated with paranormal oppression. A tightening in his chest, unshakable feeling of dread, and at one point even appeared visibly shaking, struggling to stay focused on the investigation.
Yeah, I do remember that.
As they continued, Tanner claimed to hear disembodied voices whispering around him. The voices weren't necessarily random, but they seemed to be mocking or taunting him, making the experience deeply personal and unnerving. Towards the end, Tanner's emotional state hit a breaking point, and the oppressive energy seemed to center on him, leaving him visibly affected. Chelsea.
I want to go just so I can fuck with these ghosts, because don't fuck with Tanner.
Right.
Actually, really, don't fuck with any of them, but I love Tanner. Don't fuck with my Tanner.
Right.
That's not very nice. I'm going to go and yell at these ghosts and tell them to leave Tanner alone.
Yeah. You're a witch.
Yeah, exactly. I can go to the witches' circle and exert my witchy power and tell them to leave Tanner and Alex alone.
Sure. And Alex. We threw Alex in there. I love that you just randomly threw Alex in there.
Alex gets picked on a lot. I got to protect my Alex.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, God, those pictures he's been posting on Instagram. Whew. You got me all hot and bothered now, Kelly.
I know.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus on the rest of the episode. I'm thinking about Alex.
That's okay, because it's almost over.
I do apologize, Josh, if you were listening. I still love you.
Yeah.
Josh, you're still my future husband.
So the oppressive energy did seem to center on him. Chelsea, who remained close by, expressed concern for Tanner's well-being. Well-being?
I'll beat him.
Well-being. Noting how the energy in the area felt targeted and relentless. Ultimately, they decided to retreat, understanding that whatever was in the forest was not something they could fully confront or understand at that moment.
Yeah, smart.
You
need to bring a witch with you guys.
Right.
Then I'll help you out.
In post-investigation reflection, Tanner described the experience as one of the most terrifying that he had encountered. The combination of the physical sensations, noises, and psychological toll left a lasting impression on him.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So the footage that they captured did provide kind of a glimpse into how intense that energy could be. So the Hinsdale House, with its dark history, ghostly apparitions, and relentless energy, remains a place of fascination and fear. It's a reminder of the unknown, a crossroads where the physical and spiritual collide. From stories of violent pasts to chilling personal experiences like Tanner's, it's clear this house isn't just haunted. It's alive with something we may never fully understand. Whether you believe in ghosts, demons, or simply the power of suggestion, one thing is undeniable. The Hinsdale House leaves its mark on everyone who enters. So the next time you find yourself in the woods of Western New York, remember, some doors once opened, can never truly be closed.
You should never go through a door or up a staircase that you find in the middle of the woods.
Because?
That's just the thing. I don't want to find out.
Oh, I've gone up a staircase I found in the middle of the woods.
Have you?
I have.
I'm impressed that you found a staircase in the middle of the woods.
Well, it wasn't like a big, like all the way up one. Like it was like a couple stairs.
But just by itself,
It
wasn't connected to...
It was in an abandoned, like an old abandoned graveyard. There's like ruins of a church. It's up. It's in Patapsco. Patapsco State Park. Thank you.
Yeah. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a door by itself with nothing else around it.
Like a wooden door? Like you would buy it fucking home.
Or like a doorway, but nothing else around it. Just the doorway. The door doesn't have to actually be attached. Or just a random staircase in the middle of the woods. Not attached to any old ruins. They're supposed to be bad and lead you bad places.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, just don't do it. Now that they're connected to a house, then that makes sense that it's there.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a portal to something else.
What if it's a way out of the reality we're living in right now?
Oh, fuck. Okay.
It might be worth the risk.
It might be worth
Maybe
the risk,
they're trying
Kelly.
to scare us because they don't want us to leave this reality. They're telling us, don't do it. It's bad. It's like religion.
It's
right?
Amazing.
But then when you do it, you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. Just think about it. Just think about it.
Now you have me questioning everything.
Anyhow, that brings us to the end of this episode about the Hinsdale House.
Okay. That was a good one. Interesting. Like I said, I knew, obviously I've seen all Destination Fear episodes at least twice, but they all kind of run together. So sometimes you forget specifically what happens at each location.
Yeah.
I always like to go back and watch the episode after we talk about it.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of puts it a little more into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Do you want to go?
Sure.
I'll go.
We'll add it to the list.
Yeah. To our ever-growing list.
It might be on the Haunted Maps location. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah.
It's still sitting. Well, it's actually on my dresser now. I still haven't figured out where I want to hang my Haunted Maps.
Yeah. I'm kind of going through the same thing right now.
Yeah. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Your support means a lot to us because we love doing what we do. And right now we have all 5-star reviews, or at least we did last time we checked. So go give us more 5-star reviews.
And that helps us reach more people when you do that.
It does. The more reviews we have, the higher we'll show up on rankings when people search Paranormal Podcast and get more listeners to be able to keep bringing you spooky stories.
If you want even more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon. We do have some fantastic exclusive perks for our supporters, like our live we did last night. And then not only do you get to hang out and meet with us, but you get to see and talk to other fans of the podcast. Yeah.
You get access to our exclusive Discord, which is just us and our Patreon donors.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. We talk about the episodes and books and memes and other random shit. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast and on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem, where we post pictures and updates and other fun stuff every week with our episodes. So you can kind of see some of the shit we're talking about instead of just listening to us.
And if you have ever had a spine-tingling paranormal encounter yourself, share your story with us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com, like Kevin did today.
Thanks, Kevin.
And you will hear it featured on a future episode.
You will, because we eventually want to get up to doing these every month. We still don't have enough stories banked that we can do them every month yet. We're still doing every other, but it's a lot of fun. And it's an episode that we just get to share your fun, scary, spooky stories. And yeah please do it because we want to hear your scary, spooky stories.
Yes, we really, really do, because they're awesome.
We really do. They're so much fun.
We love the paranormal. So we like to share the stories of our experiences. And we like to hear other people's experiences.
Yeah.
And you never know how your story might help somebody else that's listening to.
Exactly.
Somebody that's been through something similar. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this terrifying exploration of the Hinsdale House. Remember, as you walk through the halls of the Hinsdale House, keep this in mind.
If it's not your ghost,
it's not your problem.
Until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.